they have wanted. Obviously, we talked a lot about their slow start, but I think at this point, Cloud9 just, the whole roster, even the intended one, is taking longer than expected to get together.
Yeah, definitely the case. Kenvi grabbing the Poppy. It's been talked a lot about like Kenvi's a carry jungler, but he's been playing a lot of more tank-oriented things. This is going to be his most played now. 4 games on Poppy this split. But as you heard in that SOT about him learning over the course of the season, there was a period of time where him on things like Trundle and Poppy looked like, why are you doing this? And recently, he has been much better about working with his lanes and trying to set up plays and stuff. So it is nice to see his game and all of Immortals kind of evolving over the course of the split.
All right, quickly checking back in. Poppy, as you mentioned, Sivir snapped up there for Cloud9 as a result. Olaf, Yuumi, Gwen, Seraphine, Kalista, Azir. Azir is kind of a fun band there. Not wanting to give that one over to PowerOfEvil makes sense. He's pretty good on the champion.
Respecting the potential of his carry on that. The Lulu Sivir lane, no surprise, Lulu was banned out last game. You saw it, one of the strongest supported champions currently in the meta.
Yay.
I actually like Lulu, man.
Yeah?
What was it? I forget which game it was. Game 2 or game 3. The AD carry got Lulu ulted. It was just massive. It was a Sivir like sprinting down the lane. It looked incredible.
Ooh, like this though. Have seen this actually pretty commonly against Sivir specifically. So there is going to be Draven, I believe, once again for Lost. I think this is his second game in this split.
Yes, it is. He had one last week, which was maligned by the community quite a bit, but it was not really his fault. There was a lack of playing around the Draven. And he actually got really far ahead. He was a full item ahead of his opponent. And then he had to take 2 resets within a minute and a half of each other. He got zoned off the turret because the resources were sent elsewhere. He was not able to exert his pressure, and then kind of the team fights did not go their way. No one really played around him. And I hope this is a lesson learned from them to say, okay, Lost has actually been playing a lot more aggressive this season. He got a lead on the Draven. We can exploit people if they try and take one of the scaling ones, like we were referencing before, the 2 ideas in bot lane right now, and we can actually punish it if we play around him. And that's what I really want to see. If he gets one of those shutdowns for a big cash-in, like actually playing around him from then on.
C9, though, seems to be settling into more of the scaling half of the spectrum. Trundle picked up there for Blaber. There's Fiora, banned away by Cloud9, not wanting to give revenge any of those potential top lane carries. He has been both frequently going to them and quite successful. Even in IMT losses, he has looked pretty good. I would say actually very good individually on this team. So obviously Fudge wanting to, you know, hedge a little bit of that, even though he has counterpick.
It's interesting because Revenge has been, I think, somewhat hit or miss. The games where he pops off, he really pops off like the Aatrox performance. In that same game that I was referencing with the Draven, he was playing Yone. Kind of got messed up by Hoon on Ornn a little bit in the mid to later portions of the game. The laning phase was fine. And I think Fudge is someone who's actually been struggling quite a bit. He's, in the last 3 weeks, down in the bottom of the barrel in terms of gold difference and CSD. He does take a lot of matchups that can be a little difficult early on. Has been getting exploited a little bit, though. So I can see both guys having something to prove right now after the last couple of recent weeks.
Yeah, there's Ornn banned away. Speaking of, LeBlanc also taken away. And Orianna banned by Cloud9. My goodness. Not sure I'd ever see. That's funny to me. Jensen shying away from, I believe, his most played champion ever.
I understand the idea, though, saying PoE. They're basically saying PoE only plays control mages. Jensen will play something else. Get rid of the control mages. It hits both of our champ pools, but I will have more in the tank.
All right, well, there's Sejuani for Fudge.
You're right. Like. They're going scale, man. It's a resident sleeper draft right here. Usually you're like, oh, the enemy team has Sejuani. I'll pick the Trundle to steal the resist. What if you take both?
Haha! Cloud9 with the draft. Genius.
I mean, you do also have the Poppy. Obviously, Trundle and the Poppy is one of the main counter picks in the current meta. It's still a very good pick there, but gives Trundle also something to work with in terms of Sejuani's buff. When she gives it to allied melee champions in top lane, you can actually win some of those matchups a little bit heavier with your 2v2 being pretty unstoppable. It's very hard to win 2v2s against that if you're able to get on top and start mashing them.
Let's see what the counter pick is for Revenge. Trusty old Aatrox, it will be. And trusty old Ahri for PoE there as well. This feels pretty comfy for both of these teams. Not too surprising given where we are. I think Cloud9 wanting to right the ship a little after the drafts of last week, where they looked not quite as good as they've looked in kind of the middle of the split where they were on a bit of a streak. Last pick Taliyah there for Jensen. Happy to take the matchup in mid.
Yep, you have a lot of dashes that you can throw your E on and deal damage, not just on the Ahri, but on the entire team. Everyone but Draven basically might get stunned up by that, as well as the fact that obviously Immortals early game with Aatrox and Draven is going to try and snowball pretty hard, and you have this extra map mobility from mid lane for Taliyah to maybe join in some of these fights and protect your side lanes. Sometimes globals are taken to accentuate leads that you're going to have in aggressive matchups. Here it's about trying to probably control Immortals when they start going for side lane plays.
Yep, we'll see how Cloud9 can contain IMT because, as you said, we saw it kind of before it, but definitely with the Sejuani looked in for Fudge. They are looking for late on the Cloud9 side.
Looking for late. They've got the scaling lead for gold.
Making it rain.
Very good
the
Instagram and engagements.
Of course, the other side, the dangerous side of showboating.
Some Cloud9 chance in the arena right now. I gotta say, the C9 has been an interesting team to discover. Hold on, you got your hand out?
I do, because we do have some words from IMT Lost. Let's see what he had to say.
For us, you know, no one wants their season to end in August. Like, I think immediately having your season end so early and then watching all the teams play for weeks, if not months, going forward feels really bad as a competitor. You're just sitting there watching them, you know, play on a stage and play a game they love. I think it really sucks to step back and watch that. So that's so important for us because we want to play for our playoff spot and a chance to play, just in general, competitive. So I think it's really important we play well.
Counter argument.
Yes.
Depending on how you've structured your contract, if there are no bonuses for postseason play and finishes,
Yep.
and it's just a straight up year contract,
Yep.
you will have earned it by the time you're knocked out of playoffs. And so from then, you're just working for free. So don't make playoffs. You have your money and just go home and go do something else, you know? It's more efficient.
Yes, that's what competitive video game players think about.
As you heard Law say, it's definitely not that they're competitive people and they want to win. It's about, well, I've earned out. I'm out of here.
Let me tell you, I've talked to a lot of pro players in my time, and they all say the same thing.
There's also a lot
they love winning.
And even my point doesn't really stand because a lot of players do have contracts that, you know, if you do well, get
Really?
bonuses thrown in. Yeah.
Really? They make contracts to incentivize you to want to play well and win. Interesting.
I hope they do.
Interesting. Seems like a smart strategy there, as Ignar already off to the races in the 2v2. Nice hook there, but not too much damage onto Zven.
Yep, getting some lane prio in level 1 though, controlling this wave now. They'll be able to get that level 2 first, or they should be able to from here. And if C9 don't respect this all-in potential, then you can very easily find a quicker cash-in. Sometimes you like the fat stack, sometimes you're very happy to just get first blood right out the gate.
Nice sweep there actually from Ignar, clearing out vision for the brush, setting up for the second hook. Zven though with the very quick fingers on the shield, does keep himself safe.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they're able to use that vision control to actually get some first blood. You can see Poppy making her way down there. Also have the Trundle working down there, so people understand that that is the lane to focus on. Tank matchup, top side kind of, not too much to play around. Bot lane, or excuse me, mid lane. Ahri's not really a control mage, but it's more about sixes for both of them. And then bot side is the really explosive lane that you need to worry about.
Yeah, definitely chilling out in the 1v1 there in mid. We'll see how it all pans out. Loster alongside Ignar, happily pushing, which is what you want to see.
Also worth noting that Hex Flash is been fixed. There was a period of time when I was bugged and disabled last week. There was a hot fix to it on Tournament Realm. So Ignar does have Hex Flash, that vision control point that you're talking about, extra important. If you do burn your flash early on in trading, which is totally acceptable to do in a kill lane, you also have your Hex Flash up to re-engage again.
Yep, so contract as well, also making use of it in the last game. I am sure Kenvi is on the same train.
Most likely.
It's like Shaco. Everyone's Shaco now with Hex Flash, I feel like.
I mean, Shaco's more annoying with the whole invisibility afterwards
look,
and a number. You can also.
It's not exactly the same.
Not exactly, as Ignar out of lane, moving around.
Everyone's Rek'Sai. Is that better?
There's a lot of dash. Rek'Sai tunnels. It's a blink. But anyways, on to the point about C9 I was going to go with. It's a team that online, the conversation around their performance has fluctuated quite a bit over the course of the year, where obviously they started slow because they had a lot of subs in. Then they went out pretty hot and were 8-2, and people were like, wow, this team's killing it. But in their games, there were a number of times that their early games did not start well. They had to come back through enemy mistakes and things like that. Last week they went 0-2, and a lot of people flipped their tune completely, or I guess C9 fans probably didn't, but the haters finally had something to latch onto. And, you know, they said, oh, we exposed this team. They weren't actually ever that good. I think the reality is somewhere in the middle, in that people, if you're just doing results-based analysis, you might think that, but when they were winning really well, no, they still had problems. And even though they lost last week, they actually still did a number of things quite well and did have an opportunity on a Baron even from behind by making a good play. in their game versus 100 Thieves. It didn't work out, but you can see that this team is still very scary and ramping up, to be fair.
And it makes sense because the pieces of this team were very exciting for people, right? Even with Zven role swapping, this lineup, Fudge back in top, Blaber always been consistent, Jensen back in the league, Berserker looking very good in his last split despite kind of all the changes around Cloud9. Like, yeah, it's Cloud9. There's a reason to get excited by this team. I just think that, like, yes, individually they're good. Yes, there's some great hands on this team, but putting those hands all together has been tricky.
Yeah, and I think you can see the talent because they're top of, or in the top half of the league for almost every CSD category, goal difference or whatnot, but they also have a lot of depths. So Blaber right now is #1 for junglers of deaths pre 15 minutes at 10. Double #2 at 5.
Ooh.
So he also has a ton of kills there, so his overall, early game looks good. He's still up in CS and gold, but it does speak to they have a number of plays that can backfire, and something that they do need to clean up is how they work with each other. But the talent is there individually.
Nice little Drake roll there, by the way, for IMT, picking up the Infernal under 6 minutes. Feels pretty good to have a perma pushing bottom lane, and now lost. Just ripping up Berserker's health there with the axes, but Berserker is going to get away, chug a potion, and be A-okay.
Really nice timing on waiting for the spell shield to wear off for loss there and then getting the knockback. I don't think Ignar had hook, otherwise there was a pretty good opportunity there. And like you said, grabbing that dragon, using that Draven pressure, sometimes it can be hard to find the kill early on if people are playing respectfully, so instead you get the CS lead up to 10 already, you grab that dragon, and you kind of wait for the opportunity because you're fine just stacking that passive up until you're finally able to cash in.
And we're going to respect Fudge's move, and Blaber on the Trundle. Trundle not bad in any sort of 1v1, especially a protracted one, so Blaber's going to go ahead and get that Scuttle Crab.
Yep, playing away from the strong lane, kind of hard to contest certain things, so give the dragon up, grab this Scuttle Crab like you said, go for a little bit of an invade, and this 2v2, like we said, very scary if IMT want to defend there.
Lost eating a lot of damage. But feeling some confidence here. Looks like he'll be okay, but maybe gonna have to back away. Jensen roaming up here though, can be in trouble. Knocked off the wall though. Jensen gets grounded by the Poppy W, but Revenge is low, not dead yet. His PowerOfEvil moving on in. Cleanse is popped, and Jensen now has to get out of there because Revenge is gonna pop the cone and get himself out to safety, but Kenvi still fighting with the shield. He has a little bit of range, and it's a bit of a mess here, to be honest, in the top half of the rift, but everyone's walking away slowly.
Yeah, there's a lot of rushes they have to ward. Not able to find any of the critical abilities there. It felt like if Revenge could have landed one of those knockups, maybe PoE can go flying back in. A little footwork there by both teams. Neither one finds the kill, though. Still first blood on the table on the back end of that.
Kind of surprising given there was 6 champions in a very small zone, but everyone walks away safely. First blood's still available.
If you gave me a screenshot of that fight, I for sure would think someone was dead at the end of it, but somehow everyone gets out A-okay.
All right, well, Jensen's gonna reset. But good to see both mid laners being aggressive. That's really what you pick either of them for. They're not lane dominant, they're not super scaling, or they do scale decently. Like, you want to get out of lane and go affect other parts of the map. Team up with your jungler. Obviously, Jensen has a bit of an easier time roaming around with the wall. But PoE right on his heels there as Cloud9 were looking to make that play. And IMT at the end of it all are going to go ahead, take Revenge's pressure, take PoE's reset, and waltz on over to this first Rift Herald.
Yeah, not the ideal start to the game so far for Immortals, but not really under the gun quite yet. They grab the first dragon. They're getting the Rift Herald basically on spawn. Their CS leads dropped for a second here because they're prioritizing the objectives, but you can see Lost a little bit up, about a wave up, and Revenge, after he catches this, should be up a little bit of CS as well. So gold lead pretty close.
Yep, not too bad. See where the Herald goes. Obviously, good way to get the gold lead up nice and early, but obviously Infernal worth gold that not reflected on the scoreboard, especially these days. My goodness, pumped some power back into those Drakes.
I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
I am very happy to have more incentivized objectives so people try and get on the map, make something happen.
Jensen surfing on down. Not going to find anyone there. Goes ahead and backs away to his lane as PoE is trying to get the wave pushed back in. And Sivir Lulu is vibing. So far, so good for Lost, although the CS, as you mentioned, has been caught up.
And for Zven and Berserker, surviving this lane is obviously the goal. It's something that they have had their struggles with. Zven has admitted in interviews that he's a bit of an inter. Not like actually running it down, but saying, like, I'm going to play aggressively on the handful of champions that I play well, so I can improve faster. I'm not here to try and just survive lane and not be a liability. I want to become good at this role and figure out how I can exploit advantages the hardest that I can.
Yep.
I think it was an interview with Travis where he was talking about this and how, yeah, he has a smaller champion pool right now. Everyone knows that he doesn't need to pretend, and he's trying to be as aggressive as he can on those ones and really master those champions. And Lulu has been one of the ones that he's had some pretty good performances on. So hopefully him and Berserker can survive this lane. They're doing pretty good right now, being basically even.
Again, certainly the scaling team will take it as Zven roaming on around. Ooh, perhaps another role swap. No, actually, setting something up here alongside Blaber, Jensen, and Berserker, but PowerOfEvil has ulti, has flash, and was warded there was Blaber. So an easy back away there for PoE.
Yep, some nice vision control there. Having those wards to see that coming. You saw an assist me ping go down on the bot lane turret during that time period. I wasn't sure if Kenvi was going to head down there and try and drop the Herald down that Zven had shown in mid lane, but didn't feel like there was enough of a timing window to make that happen. So ends up backing off there.
Flick goes away, but unfortunately Lost not around to grab it. Took the reset instead, so big wave stack, but Berserker's going to scoop up all that farm. Should be alright there as the second dragon is spawning. Teams do want to be ready in position, especially IMT, if they can get the stacks rolling early, but C9 are in position to contest. Fudge already down here.
Ooh, no auto reset to get that ward. Drop the pink ward instead. Finding a path in. You can see Fudge sneaking down there. There's question mark pings by IMT, but they haven't actually seen Fudge yet. They've sniffed it out, but they aren't sure where he is exactly.
There's the Herald drop mid again. IMT trying to get some counterplay as Jensen is busy dealing with this wave. IMT have made their way in. They're sweeping out the vision, but Cloud9 are sticking on this dragon. Jensen has the wall. It's going to pop it. Ignar's going to be trapped. Oh no, right in front of Cloud9 as Jensen's going to grab first blood.
Beautiful wall by Jensen there to cut him off right as he hooks in. No one could follow up on that engage. Easy first blood. Charge does go down mid lane for some plate money, but otherwise, C9 has grabbed control of the situation.
Yeah, and that should be the dragon as well, unless Lost has an E, really the only skill he can use, unless he wants to pop the ulti, but decides against it, goes ahead, gives the dragon over to Cloud9, and Blaber will slay it for the side.
Yep, gonna be able to grab that one, throw a little wrench in the game plan of dragon stacking that IMT had going on. And I think you could already see some indications that Immortals was shifting to a little bit more late game of a plan, or at least understanding how the team fights are gonna go. Lost not going for the lethality. Draven often going Eclipse first. Herald on, gotta engage here.
PowerOfEvil looking for the point blank charm. Good little wild growth there to interrupt. And that'll be an easy escape there. Berserker forced to use the heal as well, but Cloud9 invests very little to get away from the 4v2.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta feel pretty good about that. It was very telegraphed, very brute force by Immortals there. Pop the ults, run out of there, and you're more than happy to trade those out for PoEs and a temporary loss of aggression as Zven gets interrupted by Lost there. But yeah, like I was saying, Lost going most likely for the crit build, not getting Eclipse. Understanding that he's going to have to punch through a Sejuani and Trundle in a lot of these fights. Here's that beautiful wall again by Jensen. I mean, Ignar was going to die pretty quick there even without that wall, but that definitely sealed his fate.
I didn't catch it, so I'd have to go see it again, but I think Jensen stunned Ignar by pushing him through his E with his wall. And if that's what happened, it doesn't matter. Like, there's plenty of damage in CC, but if that's what happened, that's just adorable.
I need to go back and look at that after this game and see, because that sounds like a very cute setup if
it
you
is
can actually pull that off.
Well, Jensen with the extra angle there on Taliyah. Landry's done as well, so Cloud9 feeling a bit more confident. FTX gold advantage, not quite at 500. Still a slower early game here.
Kenvi's model deciding he wanted to be on the good side of that pillar. It looks a little funny with him getting pincered right up against it, popped back onto the safe side.
Ooh, Blaber in the face. Guardian pop there, but that's a lot of damage. On the other side, the same is true. Zven with the wild growth aggressively there to get the knock up there onto Ignar. But no damage done just yet. Still C9 powering forward, looking for a kill. They'll take one, they want more, but they're not going to get any as IMT get away.
Nice counter engage by Cloud9 there. Looking a little dicey, like Blaber might hand over that shutdown to Lost, then they almost get onto Lost and take those stacks away. Still going up for those. No one claiming the Draven minigame victory quite yet.
Here's a fun little mini game. How many stacks has Lost have?
304.
Not bad, not bad. So I just want to get, ooh, we're getting it again.
Oh, we're going way back for me. All right, let's see if you got this right. Here goes the Ignar hook. Boops him.
No, because the E's not out there.
Yeah, I don't know how you would be able to get your E out before you have to hop off. Just a little boop.
Good enough, as it turned out. In fact, he threw that right at the end to get the kill, I think. Like, whatever.
In theory, you could E first and then ult.
Yes.
If someone was nearby.
Oh, actually,
No, it's only self-displacement ability.
no. So I think it works. The problem is they changed Taliyah wall to you have to be out of combat to activate it now. So I think like the timing would have been off and you wouldn't be able to find the right angle. So it's definitely not worth it to try. It's adorable. Like that's cuter than like the Gragas like no scopes when you like ult them into your Q that you've laid on the ground. But with the way
It does say knock through them, so
yeah, it would work.
Yeah.
It's just I don't think worth setting up because you can't cast Taliyah ulti after you've been in combat.
I mean,
just a little cooldown.
yeah, I guess Trundle Pillar can knock people into it too. There's
Oh yeah, that's a good
little-
time.
yeah.
That's a good time. That's cooler than the old Trundle Yasuo, if you remember that one. That classic.
There's been a couple funny Trundle Pillar combos like that.
Trundle Pillar is like sometimes the best and sometimes the worst ability in the game. When it's good, it's like really filthy. When it's bad, it's like, yeah, nothing happened. I wasted my mana.
There was a period of time where Trundle support was actually broken because you just maxed E and you would just spam pillars and you could actually just eat armor and ult.
Poppycopter. Out we go. And Riftail picked up there by Kenvi, zipped in to get the eye.
Whoop.
Cloud9
Whoop.
booted out of there is Kenvi.
Lollipoppy tripping out. Hello. Oh. Oh.
Or okay.
I mean, theoretically, you could pause for that bug, but guys, can I get a chrono break? Can we remake the game?
Ref, I moonwalked.
They got first blood. I don't like this. Can we remake?
My lollipop.
I'm
got stuck
so
in the
shameless,
traffic
dude.
cone.
I will try and like win any game. I want an ARAM because someone asked if I was the
Yeah.
real MarkZ,
And he
then
said yes.
And he said I'm a big fan. I said if you were a real fan, I was losing this ARAM. I said if you were a real fan, you would surrender. Enemy team instant 5-0 surrender the ARAM. I will take my non-existent hidden MMR any day of the week.
If you're out there listening, do not do that for MarkZ. Nice ball here for Jensen. Blaber looking to get the play happen on Ignar again. Evaporated once more. This time it's Blaber that claims the kill, but that's 2 for 2 on Taliyah walls, killing Ignar.
Ignar's
Not
greatest
literally.
enemy, a wall. I mean, it's not. It's contributing.
Uh-huh.
Ignar, you know, Nautilus is notoriously a champion that you die quite a bit on if you don't get ahead. Very squishy champion, and so far C9 have been picking on him a little bit. Now with a 1.5k gold advantage, there is still the Rift Herald, but getting their second dragon here does feel like this kind of early game snowball plan that Immortals went for has come off the rails officially.
Yeah, gonna have to play a little bit more fair, or maybe a little bit more on Cloud9's terms come this mid-game, as Drake does go over to Blaber. Clubs on down the dragon, as Berserker scoops on in to vacuum up this wave here. Again, hasn't died, has 2 assists, and has more farm than the enemy AD. Berserker's winning. That's what he thinks.
Just wait till that caching comes. That's how you get back
That's
on the gold
true.
lead. Right now, there's a 400 gold lead for Sivir, but just imagine there's this big pile of gold that Draven has, but just can't access yet. It's like locked away. He just needs that one cash in.
Let's see if he gets the cash in. Almost 400 stacked now. Gonna get right there as he takes out this wave. Continues to go ahead and catch those axes. And again, Cloud9 game still certainly in touching distance here for IMT. It seems like both teams have settled in for a bit of a longer one. Certainly with the Dragons being split early, we are going to be hanging out for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's still possible for Immortals. It's not like their comp can't find kills early. It's just there's not a ton of sustained damage to punch through the front line of C9. So if they're not finding flanks, which is always kind of like in League of Legends, the like trump card of like, yeah, your team comp's better, it scales, but we killed Sivir instantly.
Yeah.
It's very hard to do with a Lulu and the front line, but if you can do it, then you can always find a way back in the game. And like we said, lost over 400 now means it's over 1,000 gold that he can cash in on, which means that gold lead, if you get it, will be neutralized.
Certainly will. As teams have gone back, working on their next items. A lot of attention here in mid. C9 going to go ahead, try and take out Lust. Draven, notoriously not a lot of dashes. Jensen going to take him out. No flash used there by Lost. Was likely dead anyway.
Yeah, I gotta feel like he has a bit of a greed on the flash. You do have to commit it. C9 aren't done.
Yeah, Kenvi knows, has to flash away. Certainly, once Lost was in that bad position, couldn't use it. Blaber actually going to get chummed up, but the turret goes down. That's first brick over to Cloud9 as well. Fudge zooming on in, popped the ulti already, looking for revenge on revenge, but doesn't get another kill, but they'll take it. That's 1,000 more gold now in their pockets.
Yeah, they have drained the stacks from IMT. They also get, like you said, the gold themselves. So big swing. It's some of it invisible, but a big shutdown there onto the Draven. And like you're saying, I mean, I was trying to hype Lost Draven a little bit before the game, but that's a big mistake not blowing your flash. There's 1,000 gold flash that you just let yourself get flicked back into the enemy team. now Cloud9, if there was any concern about like the one play that Immortals had potentially back in the game, you just kind of dismantled the biggest threat in the game.
Yep, and opening up the map as well for yourself, also getting bonus gold has to feel pretty good. Game was kind of not a stalemate, but you know, lots of posturing back and forth. With these towers being up, now C9 can maybe open things up a little bit more. That's a very nice charm out of PoE. Everfrost, though, I don't think quite connected. Now Revenge actually gonna get flicked back as well. Forced to flash away. Tower is down in mid thanks to the power of the Herald. The Cloud9 still holding on to the majority of the gold lead. FTX gold advantage up almost 1,800. Playing for Drakes and feeling pretty good. Jensen on top of the world right now there.
Yeah,
In the gold
Jensen's
graph.
actually been killing it for a little bit now. He was #1 in kills and assists at 15, I believe, and had only died 3 times in the last 3 weeks pre-15. He's been very good about, while the team around him, there's been a lot of bloodshed. We were talking about Blaber dying a lot in the early game and some of the times the bot lane themselves. Jensen has kind of been a rock in the mid lane. Fudge has also, like I said, been struggling topside a little bit recently, and Jensen has kind of been the backbone for this team, and you can see it in this game as well. Not making like the flashiest plays, but always landing these big walls. Here, getting this flick back, making sure to actually connect that onto Draven. And that's it right there.
He thought he was out. He was wrong, but he thought he was out.
Had heal flash, could have popped either one potentially to get out. Not the case.
Blaber in... I was gonna say trouble, but I think it's actually IMT that are in trouble. Wild growth, Trundle ulti, the man's unkillable. Kick him out of there. Bouncer Kenvi pops him out of the club, but Jensen moves on in. Aggressive flash, finds himself on a killing spree. Jensen hooked up. Damage is there for Revenge, and that will go down to Kenvi, but Jensen gets away with a double before that. Revenge now likely can't get away from the rest of Cloud9. And Zven on the Lulu with 10% mana is shepherding Berserker in, who's flashing on through. Berserker one last order is going to do it. And that's a Bud Light ace for Cloud9.
Cloud9 finishing off Immortals. In that river, you saw how healthy Blaber was at the start of that. He's the same health at the end of that team fight, and now they're on to Baron.
Cloud9 with a very explosive sequence there. Gonna bust themselves up all the way up to very far ahead in goals. So watch this one again. I was like, Blaber, what are you doing? He's like, don't worry, I had a plan. I don't need an exit strategy.
Yep, has Lulu in the back pocket, has his ult running, becomes very tanky, and you can see how strong the front to back is for Cloud9 here. They had, someone needed to go over to make sure that they didn't disengage that fight. Jensen does find that first kill, gives his body up, but it allows Berserker, Zven, and Fudge to kind of corral the rest of them in. PoE tries to finish off Zven. Zven's throwing the taunt saying, you guys can't kill a Lulu 1v2? Oh, here's my boy Berserker, by the way, and shows up, grabs those 2 kills.
Yeah, uses the heal, more than worth it there to get the ace there for Berserker, gets himself an extra kill, and a bunch of extra gold to boot. Now we've got ourselves a Red Bull Baron and a whole host of damage done by Cloud9 and that team fight up 5k as Revenge caught between the pillar and the enemy team. Zven gonna go ahead and collect one.
Nice easy kill there collected right on Dragon. Gonna pick this one up. Still have the Baron for 2 minutes as well. Fudge, maybe, he's fine.
Now whenever I think someone in Cloud9's in trouble, I'm gonna go ahead and check if Zven has ulti, and if he does, I assume everyone's alive.
Most likely the case.
In fact, IMT might be the ones back in trouble. Fudge no ulti, but still pursuing Jensen, trying to make it happen. The charm is very nicely placed by PoE, and Jensen's got nothing else.
Yeah, I think he angled that wall just a little too tightly, so when he hopped off, he couldn't actually walk through and keep chasing. Either they needed to go a little bit further or angle it a little bit further up. Either way, not a big deal. They get the Dragon. They have that kill. They have the pressure. Going down the bot side, while Fudge is just being a nuisance for the last minute, just walking at people.
Yeah, space has been created. Oh, goodness. Where there's no Lulu in the area. Revenge is also zooming on up, so Fudge is in some trouble. No flash. There's the Draven ulti! Revenge gonna go ahead, collect the kill.
There they go, they got him. Fudge, you can only be so annoying before Immortals has too much of your stuff. They go in there. Find that one kill. It is a bit of a delay with the Baron still on for a minute and a half. Would have been better to just take a synced recall, reset back up, maybe try and take an inhibitor, but I think C9 are playing with their food a little bit here.
Oh, Ignar is just trapped. That's such a nice setup. Blaber keeps putting up the pills, and Jensen keeps on knocking him down.
Yeah, Blaber having a really good game, being in the right place, right time, using these pillars, using his ultimate to bait these fights, knowing how tanky he is. Immortals now 7,500 gold down, looking a little scary.
Blue buff for Zven, blue buff for Jensen. Nice little donation there, keeps control of the area. Blaber and Zven continuing to roam through together, have been very effective as a pairing in the front line of these fights, as Cloud9 are just mopping up gold away from IMT. Now 8k ahead with still 30 seconds left on the road. And don't forget the Cloud Soul to play for in 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, staying ahead of FlyQuest here. This is a big win for them in terms of playoff seeding. It's still a very tight race. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is 8-8 for FlyQuest. This would put them at 9-7 to stay one step ahead. Also means I might be eating a habanero. Cloud9 are feeling good, heading into playoffs, trying to grab some momentum. Immortals feeling the pain of it, though.
All right, well, another tower goes down, almost up to 10k ahead, but we'll take the recalls. Oh, using the very end of the Baron buff to get the empowered recall. Also, 2 people didn't do it, but it's fine. They have other things to
Some
do.
people also are just running up top lane right now.
Jensen doesn't need it. He's surfing away. Kenvi is vibing.
Kenvi's heated. He's coming for him.
Zven's like, goodbye.
Big emote game out of Zven.
I mean, it makes sense. He's, you know, man's got hands. He's a long-time AD carry player. He's got the APM. You know, he needs to find extra things to do on the enchanters.
Enchanters are relatively low APM compared to AD carries.
Yeah, relative to most AD carries.
So here's something. I hear a lot of the times where people are taking Taliyah. You can sometimes, the casters often say, like, oh, it's really good to get set up with Taliyah. You need to do this, this, or that, whatever.
Yep.
That's only true for junglers.
Yes.
They don't have mechanics. Most jungle champions, cough Poppy Trundle, are a little easier to pilot than, say, Taliyah.
Yeah,
and
I think so.
I see a lot of mid laners take Taliyah with not a ton of setup and find the flicks still.
Yep.
Like, Decoy had an insane game without much setup, you know. Jensen, for the most part, has done these unset up. I mean, a Trundle slow, I guess, but not like guaranteed lockdown CC. It's only true. It makes sense, too, for ganks to have lockdown CC to set it up, but if the junglers were just better, they wouldn't have that problem.
And to Blaber's credit, he's been very good this game with the pillars, and there's another one lost! Caught completely in the wall and the cone, so he's going to have to go ahead and flash away. This time commits it and does not get punished. But Cloud9 knocking on the door of your inhibs as IMT is surfing on over to Fudge. Everfrost pops, Revenge is there, Charm is good, Blaber is here, and Zven goes wee! Oh, everyone goes wee! Papillon kicks him out of there!
A lot of people went wee. It was a funny little fight there, as might not be done yet. Revenge finally getting out of there. The Fudge, you could see the play in his head where he's like, I'm going to bait them in, my team's going to collapse, this is going to be sick. Throws his ultimate right down the middle of Immortals' team, stuns no one. And then Kenvi helps disengage the fight, but that's still good for C9, given that this is a Baron-less push that they're able to get this pressure down, grab that mid-inner turret as well. So only the inhibitor turret's left alive. Soul point spawning in 45 seconds in time to get this recall off. You now have all that vision already set up in the bot side jungle. You can see there pretty much every path to the dragon warded out from where they were just pressuring. So kind of checking their boxes before they reset.
Yep, was under a minute till the dragon when they left the area. Now about 30 seconds away is Cloud9 doing their diligence with their vision. Blaber is skating away again. Revenge is trapped, has to flash. Like I said, Trundle Pillar, pretty damn good in a lot of cases. Sometimes not great, but when it's good, it's real good. And Blaber's been on point so far on Trundle. 107, a respectable Trundle game scoreline. This is what you want to see.
Respectable.
It's respectable.
It's been very good. I go beyond respectable for him.
His performance has been good. The scoreline.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But yes, agreed.
For a 10-2 game.
True, actually.
There's not much more you could hope for. Only Jensen is tied. Actually, no. A lot of people are tied in terms of kill score. Everyone but Fudge participating. Immortals not even contesting the soul point.
Nothing to do.
That's one of those games where you can assume it's over if you're not contesting soul point. It is Cloud Soul. You can say it's not that important. Whoa! The least hyped House of the Dragon.
I liked it, actually. I hope they use that in a future cut.
I feel like it's often... Hold on, here's a Baron contest.
If you're not in and out, I'm getting mad. Here comes the Poppycopter! Only kicks out the non-jungler, and Blaber is just gonna vibe! Oh no! Oh no! Kenvi got the Baron! Stole away the gold, stole away the buff, and Blaber is pissed. He's on to the enemy AD carry. Revenge is gonna get cut up by Jensen's wall at C9. May just be using it as bait. They win the fight, but they do not get the objective.
If you're Immortals, you're saying we take those. If you're Cloud9, you're saying how dare you? And they're going to try and end the game right now, 30 seconds before loss is up. They don't have the Baron and Power Creep for the push, but there's no one really for wave clear other than PoE. Not going to be able to do it by himself.
Gonna maybe say, you know, we take those two. Take your next at least. That's the plan for Cloud9. Streaming on down through mid. No Baron to help you out here. Kenvi and PowerOfEvil are the only resistance, and Kenvi is trying to cut the wave. by a bit of time in the stasis, but still dead to Berserker. As now the Baron minions are going to force Cloud9 back. All right, Cloud9 can't end on this push.
Dang. I wouldn't have minded if they had. Feels like a pretty trapped game. This is one of those if you're in solo queue. I'll respect the FF. I will never surrender ARAMs.
Yes, as we've learned.
Funnily enough, I will surrender games where I feel trapped for LP, but I won't do it in games. Here you see the yeet out. It's just Blaber left in the pit. Everyone else gave a fair amount of respect, actually, to the collapse from Immortals. So it ends up a bit of a 1v1, and the Draven is actually throwing in damage as well. So actually slightly in favor of Kenvi, given that his team had damage coming in as well after C9 peeled very far off the Baron. Didn't want to get caught out by Nautilus and Ahri. You know, theoretically the right play. It's more important not to get ace than to lose the Baron. Yep. But I don't think they were going to get ace. Either way, Cloud9 setting back up again around this bot side of the turret. Immortals, the negative 253 Baron power play.
Nice.
I wonder if that is technically still an improvement from the gold spread over the previous 5 minutes before Baron. I would assume so. Like, average-wise, it's trending up. They're not losing as much as they were before. Before you can be positive, you have to decelerate the speed that you were going down.
Yes.
I guess that's accelerating? Decelerating your negative speed?
You know what? We'll figure it out in a moment, because Jensen's going to try and cut him off here as they are trying to go under this tower and get it down. They should be able to grab it. Indeed, they will. And now the fight may begin. Blaber a little too far forward, though, as Kenvi slams Fudge on in. Revenge backs through. Jensen on a killing spree, though, and Cloud9 have broken through in the bottom half of the rift. This time, even though there's 30 seconds left on Baron, they will take the game away from Immortals.
Jensen with the triple flick after locking the team in there. Sivir's dream, seeing a bunch of people stuck together with your boomerang blade and ricochets, getting everyone low. They find the kills, they find the win.
Cloud9, a nice game for them to start their super week. Obviously, looking at the standings, you would expect a Cloud9 win here, but has to feel good to have it be mostly smooth as you start your super week.
It was almost 100% in their favor, start to finish. There was that small window where Immortals had pressure on the map. They grabbed the first dragon, they got the first herald, but outside of that, Cloud9 grabbed control of this game very early on, never left control of it, didn't make any significant mistakes, just kind of weathered the very, very early storm and outscaled.
Now, when assessing our options for player of the game,
Jensen.
Okay.
You're gonna pitch Blaber.
I was gonna pitch because I was gonna posit the question: is it the setup pillars, or is it the person that has to click the buttons on Taliyah?
I think there were enough plays by Jensen not set up. He's also
That's true. That's
he's also 8-1 and 8 and big number good.
Big number better.
Me like big number.
He also, that wall was obviously not Blaber's. The one he set up back to get the first
He had some very
block.
good walls as well.
Right.
I think he did a very good job in this game.
It wasn't going to take a lot, I am convinced.
Yeah. I know you want to give it to Trundles and junglers. But,
I more just want to highlight how good Blaber's pillars were, but I do agree. I think Jensen had the most impact on the game for Cloud9. Not that it was a particularly bumpy ride for them in any case.
No, I think this was just a good bounce back game from them after dropping last week, going 0-2. You know, there were some mistakes in the early game. Blaber's Wukong was leaving a little bit to be desired. Here he comes back on Trundle and just kind of controls the whole game. It was just one of these things where it just felt like there was never a moment where they were sweating it all over this game.
Yep, and I think you can tell, like, with the way they picked, pretty safe draft, wanting to scale, having a lot of solid picks, right? Nothing that's going to require too much attention, nothing that's going to need gank assist to really get going. Fudge is playing Sejuani. He's playing respectfully against the Aatrox instead of just running and trying to get every 1v1. I mean, this is the kind of game I think we expect from Cloud9, especially this late in the season. They know how critical these wins are.
Yeah, I think they're very happy to try and claw and stay above FlyQuest in the standings. Third place team right now is Team Liquid, and so if you get the choice between trying to fight Team Liquid or CLG, should they stay fourth or whatnot, you know, there is probably a preference for a lot of teams in the league to avoid Team Liquid early on. So for Cloud9, very important win.
Certainly is. I see there's people on stage. I don't know if they're ready yet, though.
I see them. They're looking at me. They're giving me waves and thumbs up.
They waved. Are you ready?
The prompter's not scrolling, but they look ready.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess there's other people who have jobs that might need to wait to be ready, like the entire control room. I don't know.
Yeah,